Today we're starting section 12.1, parallel lines and transversals. We know that parallel lines, what? How could we describe parallel lines, Zach?
There are two lines that go the same direction. And there are two lines that never touch.
Yeah, they never intersect. They never intersect. They're the same distance apart and they never intersect. And then a transversal actually intersects, so it crosses those two parallel lines. So that's what a transversal is. And when that happens, a transversal creates many pairs of congruent and corresponding angles. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. You do not have to write down this third definition because it's actually now on the next slide. Okay, so just write the two basically facts that we know about transversals. Okay, so we're going to spend quite a bit of time on this next slide, okay? Angle relationships are really important, okay? Because without angle relationships, we would have to get out a protractor and physically measure each one of these angles. But because of angle relationships, and when a transversal, okay, so this line right here is the transversal because it intersects two parallel lines. And when that happens, it creates angle pairs and relationships. So based on that, I can actually tell what all the angle measures are without actually measuring a single one of them. Okay? All right, so there we go. What I need you to do now is go ahead and write down these three definitions: supplementary, vertical, and corresponding angles. I need you to leave at least 2 or 3 lines between each definition because we're actually going to list angle pairs that match each one of these types of relationships. Supplementary angles, okay? What is true about their degree measures is that they add up to 180. So if you knew one angle measure, you could essentially find the other. So I'm just going to give you some angle measures. Knowing that they're supplementary, tell me what the other angle measure would be. So let's say one angle measure is 100 degrees. All right, this doesn't have anything to do with this yet. If one is 100 degrees and they have to add up to 180, what's going to be the other one? 80 degrees. All right, I'm going to give you one more. If one is 60 degrees, what is the other one going to be? 120. Because they have to add up to 180. So here's what is true about supplementary angles. They share a common side. Okay, so actually let me try to back this down some. So you see the 92 degrees here? You see what I'm highlighting here? Okay, a side is essentially a line. So these two angles, 92 degrees and 2 degrees, they both share that common side and they share a common point in between them. Do you see that? So because of that, we call them supplementary. They share a common side and a common point. Let's point out some other supplementary angles on that intersection. What would be supplementary with 2? With angle 2? Angles 2 and 3. 2 and 3. What about angles 3 and 4? Angles 3 and 4, they're next to each other, side by side. They share the common point, and they lie on the same side of the line. Okay? Let's go down to the bottom intersecting pair down here. What would be some supplementary angle pairs down on the bottom? Okay, I heard 5 and 8. That's correct. What's another one?
6 and 7.
6 and 7. What's another one? 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. So we're recognizing supplementary angle pairs. On a quiz, I would just ask you to name 2 of them. All right, so there are actually 8 pairs that you could choose from. We typically would want to write them in numerical order, so don't say 3 and 2. You would say 2 and 3. And really, guys, that just makes it easier for me to grade. I already have to look for 8 potential pairs. So if I'm looking at 2 and 3 and 3 and 2, it takes me like an extra second to recognize that's the same thing. I mean, I know that that kind of seems, you know, really insignificant. It doesn't mean that you're wrong, but if we all write in numerical order, it just helps, okay? So we can choose any of these angle pairs that we just mentioned. We're just going to choose a couple. And this weird looking little symbol that I wrote, that is the angle symbol. And you need to write it before each number, showing that it's an angle that you're talking about. So we said 2 and 3, and we could also say angles 6 and 7. So if, and this is what we're going to get to in just a minute, if you knew angle 6, you could find angle 7. Because they're supplementary, their measures are going to add up to 180. So that's where supplementary rules can really help us. All right? Now let's talk about vertical angles. Vertical angles are opposite each other and congruent in measure. So for angle 2, its vertical angle would be directly across from it on the other side of the line, and it would share a common point in between. So vertical angles have to be touching. So vertical angles are opposite each other, but here's the catch about their degree measurements. They're the same. So if you knew what angle 2 was, angle 4 would be the exact same measurement. But right now, we're just recognizing pairs of vertical angles. We're going to actually find their measurements in just a minute. So so I could list angles 2 and 4 as one pair of vertical angles. I want you to try to find another one on the other set of angles, on the other set. Try to find another pair of vertical angles. All right, so we said 2 and 4. Can someone raise your hand and tell me another one, Gabe?
6 and 8.
Okay, 6 and 8. And what would be the last one? What's the last one, Zach?
5 and 7.
5 and 7. So either one, guys, would be fine. I'm just going to ask you to list 2. Or I might even only ask you to list 1. Okay? All right, so we've got 2 and 4 and 6 and 8. And we know that their measures are congruent. Okay? Their measures are congruent. All right, now let's talk about the last one. Corresponding angles are in the same location on both intersecting points. So we have one intersection up here and another intersection down here for the transversal. So on 2 separate intersecting points, they're in the same location. Okay? So let's talk angle 2 for a minute. Down here on the other intersecting point, which angle, 5, 6, 7, or 8, is in the exact same position? It would be angle 6. Do you see that they're both kind of on the right side of that point? Okay, for 2 and 6. All right, what about the corresponding angle for 92?
5.
It would be 5. What would be the corresponding angle for 3? 7, and then last but not least, 4 and 8. And here's what we know about corresponding angles. They are the same measurement. So if I know what angle 4 is, I can say that angle 8 is the exact same measurement. You see how these could really help you? Okay, so let's just list 2 pairs. Doesn't matter which one. We'll say angles 4 and 8. And we'd say angles 2 and 6. Okay? And that sums up, guys, your 3 types of angle relationships. And we're going to use these. Now, sometimes you use one and not the other. It just depends on the information you're given. You'll see that in the next 2 examples. All right. So in example 1, it gives us an angle measurement of 110 degrees. And it tells us to find the measure of angles 1 and 2. So I have to figure out how these angles are related to each other. Is angle 1 supplementary, vertical, complementary, or angle 2 to the given angle measurement of 110? Okay, so I can use one of my relationship pairs to actually figure out what their measurements are. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think? So 110, hold on now. 110, is it physically connected to either one of these angles? No. So there's no way that it's vertical because it doesn't share a common point. They're not even connected. there's no way it's supplementary because, again, they are not connected at all. 110 is not connected to these points. But angle 1 is corresponding to angle 110. If you notice that 110 is in the bottom left section of the intersecting points, angle 1 is in the exact same location on the other intersecting point. So because of that, I know that corresponding angles are the same measurement. You with me? No?
No.
Okay. All right, we'll review it some more.
I got the answer right, but I didn't know what you meant.
Because it's on the right and I'm on the left.
But it's in the same spot. It's in the same spot. So 110 is in the bottom left. So look, here's where it intersects, right here. So you could label it 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? 110 is in the third, you could say the third quadrant. Okay? Now over here, on the other intersecting point, you could do the same thing. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So angle 1 is in the exact same spot. Okay, does that make more sense? So because of that, they are the same measurement. Okay, we'll do a lot more practice on this. Okay, but because angle 1 corresponds with 110, it is the exact same measurement. Okay, it's the exact same measurement. Now that I know that angle 1 is 110 degrees because it was corresponding, if angle 1 is 110 degrees, how does angle 2 relate to angle 1? It's supplementary. They're on the same side of the line, sharing a common point, so what would I subtract it from? 180. 180. Okay, so angle 2 is 70 degrees because I subtract it from 180. Supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so, all right, they have to add up to 180 because you just said that they were supplementary. So 110 plus 70 is 180 degrees. All right. So that was a little rougher than I would want. So I'm going to backtrack back to the last example. Okay? And we're going to spend a little bit more time on degree measurements. All right? And I really and truly feel like if you guys follow along, this should click. This should make sense, okay? So we've already talked about each of the 3 types of angle relationships, right? Supplementary angles. Same side, share a point, add up to 180. Vertical angles opposite, same degree measure. Corresponding, same location on each intersecting point. So here we go. You start at 92 degrees. Okay? And now, because you know one angle measure, you can find all the other ones. So let's take it a step at a time. Angle 2 is related to 92 how?
Supplementary.
It is supplementary. Okay, pay attention because it's on the same line sharing a common point. So what can I subtract it from? 180. And 180 minus 92 is? 88. Very good. Okay. So now, how does angle 4 relate to angle 2? Based on my 3 relationships over there, it's vertical because it's opposite, but it is connected. They're sharing a common point. Vertical angles have to be touching. They have to be connected, but they're on the opposite side. So vertical angles are congruent in measure. That means if angle 2 is 88, then angle 4 has to be 88. Sorry, wrong button. Angle 4 has to be 88. But notice what else happens, and this is how they're all going to start connecting together. 4 and 92 are also supplementary and add up to 180. So you're going to see that each of your reasons, there's actually multiple reasons why an angle is the measure that it is. So you're going to have different reasons. All right? Now, what do you think angle 3 is going to measure?
92 degrees. 88. degrees.
It's 92 degrees. Okay? And here's why. Don't get frustrated. Stop. Don't get frustrated. You need to pay attention up here to me talking. Stop. Okay? 92 because it's vertical, but also because it is supplementary to its adjacent angles, the one right next to them. All right? You see how, guys, it's multiple reasons. So I know all the angle measures on the top intersecting point, but I know none of the angle measures on the bottom intersecting point. So how can I get these angle measures to transfer down to my intersecting points? What is it, Jason? Corresponding. All right, make sure you're raising your hand. All right, so let's start with angle 6. Which angle in the top point corresponds with 6? 2, which is 88 degrees. Which one corresponds with 7? 3, which is 92 degrees. But look at this. 6 and 7 are also supplementary, and 92 plus 88 is 180. Okay? So let's jump up to angle 5. How does 5 relate to 7? 5 to 7. Vertical. They're opposite. So what is the measure? 92. And look at this. Angle 5 corresponds with the given angle measure, which is also 92. Are you making these connections? Yes. Okay. So then last but not least, angle 8 is what? Okay, I heard 88. And guys, couldn't you give multiple reasons why it's 88?
Yes.
Because, okay, so here we go. Because it corresponds with which angle?
4.
Because it's vertical to which angle?
6.
Because it's supplementary to which angle?
5 and 7.
There you go. Okay? And you just learned pretty much everything in section 12.1. All right? So now we're going to do one more of these where you find them all. Okay? And you're going to do them in your groups. Okay? So here's the grid. Right here. I want you to draw this and find angles 1 through 7. Guys, you have to tell me the relationship. And for each of you, your pattern for solving them might be different. You might start on angle 1. You might start on angle 6. You might start on angle 2 or 3. You're each going to start on different angles, but you're going to end up all in the same place as long as you do them right. Okay, so I'm going to be walking around to check on you guys. Oh my goodness. That is not what I wanted. I'm going to be walking around to check on you guys, and we'll see how we do on this, and then we'll go over the answer. All right, so let's set them up. Oh my goodness, what happened? All right, hold on a second. I'm going to get out of that and just start it over. All right, so we're going to go starting with angle 1. All right, angle 1 is what measurement?
75.
Okay, it is 75 also. And I would say because it's vertical to the given angle measure. All right, to the given one that started. All right, angle 2 is what? 105 and why?
Because 105.
Okay. I would say because it is supplementary to angle 1. Okay. That is not the only relationship. Angle 2 does correspond with 5. But for me, when I am listing these initially, I don't know what angle 5 is yet, so that can't be my reason, okay? I'll explain more when I'm talking about it in a minute. But that's why I said supplementary to 1, because I already know what 1 is. All right, what about angle 3?
105.
Angle 3 is also 105. Why? Could be a couple reasons. You could say supplementary to 75, supplementary to 1, or, what did you say, Noah? Vertical to 2. Okay? Either, any of those answers are fine. Some people might say supplementary, as long as you say supplementary to the correct angle. If you said supplementary to 7, that's wrong. You see what we're doing here? Okay, so now angle 4. Angle 4 is what? It's corresponding to which one?
1.
So what is the angle measurement?
75.
75, because it corresponds with 1. Jason asked me, and I thought it was a really good question. He said, on all of these angles, 4, 5, 6, and 7, could I say corresponding as the reason for all of them? As long as I match it with the right angle? I could say 4 corresponds with 1, 5 corresponds with what? 2, 6 corresponds with 75, and 7 corresponds with 3. And corresponding angles have the exact same measurement. Okay? Now, there are other reasons why they equal what they do, but as long as you give me 1, that's all I care about. So angle 5 is also 105 because it corresponds with 2, with angle 2. All right? I'm going to switch over. 5 corresponds with 2. It's in the top left, and 2 is in the top left. Okay? What about 6, guys? What about angle 6?
75.
Okay, it's 75, and why? Corresponds with 75, or I could say it's vertical to 4 because I already know what angle 4 is. I could say it's vertical to angle 4 or supplementary to angle 5. All right, and what is angle 7? 105, and why? Corresponds with 3, vertical to 5, supplementary to which ones?
Angle 6.
And
Angle
4.
4.
Okay. All right. How do we do? Did it start making more sense? Okay, so guys, this is a completely new topic. We do still have 2 examples left in this section, and we're going to kind of pause at this point and pick up next Thursday in 12.1. So we'll go back over this and kind of review, but please do not completely forget what we learned today. And you do have 5 homework problems tonight. We are stopping on number 14, and I will update the portal.